Science and superstition. Humans have explored and tried to explain their surroundings since the dawn of time. There is a deep seated curiosity, an inextinguishable urge to do more, feel more, and explore more. In essence, this natural drive to wonder is seen in most animals, but the ability to wonder, as in think, that was first seen in a curious primate that emerged out of Africa some 2 million years ago. Eventually, that became us, Homo sapiens. We are descendants from a tradition of thinking. When ancient Greek astronomers looked up to the heavens and saw Aquila, the eagle that carries Zeus's thunderbolts, they were seeing what ancient Indian astronomers had perceived of the same constellation of stars to be an ear, symbolic of Shravana, or the hearing of the secrets of the Upanishads from the Guru by his loyal learners. This is just one solitary example from countless others from across human history and culture. Examples like these are glances into the beauty and sheer diversity of belief systems that exist across the world. Each society from the corner of every country has a unique story to tell. However, when gazed upon through the cold, rational lens of science, the accuracy of these beliefs is thrown seriously into question. How is it that science is so sure of accurately explaining the truth? Is it also not a belief system and therefore susceptible to chinks in its logical armor? These are important questions and lead to the need for differentiating science from other belief systems. Arguably, the most important development in science was the formulation of the scientific method by Francis Bacon. The foundations of empirical science are constructed from along the lines of this concept of prediction, experimentation, observation, and deduction. This inherently means that science is not a static body of knowledge, but subject to constant change. Modifications to the concept of the scientific method since Bacon's time, such as the introduction of the idea of falsifiability by Karl Popper, means that modern science is more than a body of knowledge, but more like a way of thinking, to paraphrase Carl Sagan. It is in my opinion that it is exactly here that science parts from other belief systems. No other system of thought is as dynamic in terms of potential for radical change. One experiment or one new piece of evidence can radically alter how scientists think. Reflecting on falsifiability, science is also unique in that nothing is definitely provable. It can only be falsified, that is, a proposed idea can be rejected on the basis of new evidence. Carlo Rovelli reflects on this beautifully in his book, 7 Brief Lessons on Physics, discussing that scientists that the world have now come to revere, such as Charles Darwin or even Albert Einstein, were hesitant when first publishing their revolutionary ideas on the presumption that those very ideas could be entirely falsified by a new argument or a new piece of evidence. This is what makes science so rigorous and so utterly fascinating. It is open to change. At the core of all belief systems is the pursuit of truth. In this respect, all beliefs are attempts at getting to the why and how behind an individual's surroundings and other deep questions. As a result, in spite of science being dynamic, in spite of science being a constantly updated body of knowledge, and in spite of science being actively grounded in the empirical measurements of our surroundings parameters, it is in the end another attempt in finding truth. It should not be taken for granted that science is wholly rational and therefore all other belief systems should be discarded as mere superstition. No, that is an entirely wrong perception. In my opinion, science and other belief systems are on the same pedestal. Ultimately, truth and reality are all abstract concepts. So-called attainment of truth is impossible. How can one attain truth and know that they have attained it if it is truth that they are looking for and do not know what it is? This is the biggest question I harbor in my mind. I am convinced that science and other beliefs such as religion are all equal and respectable attempts at coming to terms with the environment and the world that we, as humans, find ourselves in. But if not non-science, then what is superstition? The belief that system that an individual chooses to embrace is purely a matter of personal choice. In fact, an individual can choose to embrace ideas from many different forms of belief. This is no better exemplified than by scientists such as Georges Lemaitre, who proposed the idea of the expanding universe, Gregor Mendel, the father of genetics, or even James Clerk Maxwell, a giant of 19th century physics, among many others, all of whom were deeply devout individuals. What is common between all these great minds and others is that they are not bound by any one belief. This is where my personal idea behind superstitions comes in. If I were to define superstition, I would say that they are the residue of belief systems and are concepts that superstitious individuals blindly follow but cannot trace the reason behind why they follow it. I believe that if a person embraces science or religion or even both, knowing why they have embraced it and having acknowledged other systems of belief beyond science and religion, for example, then they cannot be superstitious. If an individual blindly follows or accepts something as factual or the truth, and blindly and without introspect, then that is a superstition, even if that is something that has been promoted by science. Blind faith in anything is a superstition, even blind faith in science, because it leaves room for doubt. Belief is something that is required to be rigorous for it to stand, and quite often belief is a mixture of many different concepts and ideas. Any one belief system cannot claim to be the only path in an attempt to understand ourselves and the world we live in. I thank Vellore Institute of Technology for giving us this platform to express our views, and I thank viewers for patiently listening to my ideas. Thank you.